So I'm going to show you how you can use Canvas to actually schedule your own Zoom meeting directly in Canvas without even having to leave. So I'm going to start off by going into my Canvas course. And Canvas actually has Zoom built in, but for some reason it is not turned on. It's going to show up over here in this left sidebar. Mine's green here. And you'll notice there's all different options in here, but Zoom does not show up. So the first thing I need to do is I have to go all the way down to the bottom to one called Settings. And I'm simply going to add Zoom to that sidebar. So when I go to Settings, I get all these different options that show up here at the top. And the one I want is called Navigation. So this is your navigation bar that shows up over here. And so you'll notice all the way down at the bottom, Zoom is down there. And the ones down here are the ones that do not show up in your settings. So if I wanted to add Zoom, all I have to do is click and hold down the mouse and drag it up there. And now Zoom will be in my list when I click Save. Now, if there's other things in here that I know I'm not going to use, I can go ahead and just drag those down to the bottom to turn those off if I don't want those things to show up in my list. So you can always add things back and forth later, but first thing I need to do is make sure I drag Zoom up here to the top, and then I'm going to go ahead and click Save. Now once I've done that, I can go back home to my home page, and you'll notice that Zoom now shows up here. So if I wanted to schedule a Zoom meeting, I can do that a couple different ways. So if I go to Zoom, this is going to show me a Zoom interface that allows me to schedule Zoom meetings directly within Canvas. Now, I may have to log in with my Google account the first time I do this and give it permission, but once I'm in here, I have the option to schedule a new meeting. So I can go ahead and say schedule a new meeting, and let's say I'm going to call this meeting first hour. So this is going to be my first hour Zoom, and then I can give it a description if I want. There's a spot to choose a one-time meeting, so I can give it a date and time of when that's going to meet. There is an option here that asks for a duration. It doesn't matter how long you Zoom, you can go for as long as you want. This is simply how long, if you were going to add this to your calendar, this is how long the event would show up in your calendar. But there's an option down here if you want that says this is actually a reoccurring meeting. So if I'm going to meet every day first hour, maybe for the first 5 minutes to take attendance, what I can tell it to do is check this box to make it a reoccurring meeting. And what I want is what's called weekly. And weekly, I want this to repeat on certain days of the week. So I could check the box, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I could tell it how often I wanted it to repeat, maybe to the end of the semester or the end of the quarter or grading period, however I want to do it. And it will repeat that many times over and over and over again. Now down here, I have a few other settings that I can tweak. So for example, I can turn on the waiting room if I want, or I can turn that off if I don't want to. It's up to you whether you want students to have to be let in to your course or if you want them all to be there. But just about everything else that is there, I would go ahead and leave off or leave the way it's set up, except for there's an option for video for host and participant. What this means is whenever you join this, do you want the video to turn on automatically? So what this will do is if I turn participant on, that means when a participant joins, that video is going to be enabled automatically for them. And same thing with you. So I can go through here and I can tell it to record this meeting automatically on my computer if I want to. And then down here, there's a spot for alternate hosts. So if I needed to add somebody else to this as a co-teacher, this is where I could do that. Maybe I have a collab teacher that's going to be teaching this class with me, and I wanted to add them to it as a co-host. But in this case, all I have to do is click Save. And then what it's going to do is it's going to generate this course meeting. So it's called first hour. I could add that to my Google Calendar. Again, it would show up as an hour because that's the way I left that in there. And this right here is the link to my Google first hour Google Meet. So I have a couple different options. The first one I could do is I could choose to automatically copy this link. So if I was to right click or two finger click on this link and copy this link, that is the link that someone would click on to join my Zoom. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. Now I want to copy the link, not the invitation, because the invitation is like a whole thing saying, hey, welcome to Zoom, here you go, this is all the information, blah, blah, blah. Students don't need all that. All they need is the link to click on to be able to join it. So what I can do is I can leave it just like this if I want. And now if I go back home, instead of adding the links directly to my page here, what I could simply do is tell students that, hey, for my course, all you're going to do is you're going to go over here to where it says Zoom. And when they click on Zoom, they are going to see all of their upcoming meetings that are scheduled. Now, it can be kind of overwhelming because if I told it to do it 5 days a week for 10 weeks, I'm going to see all of those show up here. Now, those will show up, but really it's just the same meeting over and over and over and over and over again. And the only one that's going to show up at the top is the one that is currently available to them. That's the one that is the most recent, that is the next one coming up. And once the time passes, then it's going to drop off of that list. So this is one way. I could do all of my Zoom meetings in here and tell students just to click on Zoom and go to the one called First Hour and hit Start, and that's where they would find it. Now, if I'm doing a Zoom meeting for second hour, third hour, fourth hour, those are all going to show up in here as well. So it will give you a lot of different links that students kind of have to navigate through, but the one that it's at the top, at the time they're ready to do it, is probably going to be the one that they're going to be joining. Now, the other thing this does is that if I do a recording and I told it to record that Zoom, those recordings are actually going to be stored in here for students to be able to access later if they need to be able to do that. Now, if I don't like doing Zoom this way, all right, I could still schedule my Zooms this way, but I don't have to have kids click on the Zoom link here. What I could do, if you remember, I went back and I copied that Zoom link when I set it up. I could simply go back to my home page, and I could have a section somewhere on my site. It could be a totally separate page that maybe there's a button that links to it, or maybe I have them front and center on my page, and all I would have to do is go to edit, and then once I edit that, I can simply type some text that says first hour, third hour for my Zoom links. I highlight that text and then click on the link button, and I can simply paste that Zoom link directly in there and just hit insert link. And now when I save that page, that Zoom link is now linked right to that text, and a student could simply go to my page and click first hour, and then that will take them to the first hour Zoom. So it's going to ask them, do they want to allow it? It'll launch the app, and then they will be in your Zoom ready to go. So that is how you can create Zoom links directly in Canvas, a couple different ways.